Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. Today, I am so happy to welcome Umar. He is the founder of No Limit Selling and creator of Mindset Boosters. He has a business podcast. He does everything. He's just a really, really busy guy. So, welcome, Umar. I'm so happy to have you.
Danielle, thanks so much for being here. And anytime I can chat with someone, it's amazing. And if you and I can have a conversation and we help one person, that's a win for me. Because if you get an email or I get an email, when Danielle was saying this, I got this epiphany. It changed my life. Makes me incredibly happy.
I would agree with you. I think as human beings, we want to connect and we're not alone. I think that's something that I've found is like we might think we stay in our own thoughts a lot, we are like, oh, like, and if you just branch out and share your story, I feel like that is so powerful. And also why I have this podcast for people to share their stories. And it's like you're not alone. I'm sure that like there are 8 billion people on this planet. There has to be one person that might have felt the way you felt at one point in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know? So I want to kick off the conversation because I know you work with people about around this kind of area about how in society that we are very conditioned to do, kind of the typical steps in life, and then we maybe get to a point in life where we're like, wait, why have I been following this path when like my heart and my soul is telling me different? I always say it's like we're doing what we're conditioned to do, not what we're created to do. So would love your thoughts on that.
So I'm going to share a really disturbing data point before we start. Yeah, we
Sure.
all
Yeah.
think we are masters of our own domain. We make these decisions. We're unique individuals. And there's been interesting research in men's bathrooms. If they've got,
Hmm.
five stalls and somebody
Yeah.
comes in, which stall do they go to first? And most people, like 85% of people, go to that one stall. And then if a
Hmm.
second person comes while they're there, no one wants to stand next to them. They're going to go two stalls away. And so what's kind of interesting is the illusion we have is I'm unique and I'm making my own decisions. But the reality is we're conditioned to make the same decisions unless we
Mm.
break out of the spell and that matrix moment of which kind of pill do you want, the red one or
Yeah,
the blue
yes,
one?
yeah. Yep, absolutely.
So a good example of that would be is you hear of uh, did you ever watch that movie Molly's Game?
Yes, yes, I love that movie with yep, about how she like was brought up to be a lawyer and she was that really big skier, like a really good skier, and then she started her own side poker, poker thing.
Yeah, so all her brothers, all her siblings were Olympic athletes and super
Mm.
successful. And she was a skier, got injured, and then it basically destroyed her identity of who I am, and also sounded like, her connection with her dad changed as well when she wasn't
Yeah.
an Olympian. And so she went out on her own path. And I read the book as well. And there's this one interesting part of the story is that she's depressed. She's couch
Mhm.
surfing with a friend in LA. And the guy
Yes.
finally says, "Look, you got to go find your own place to live. And what's the one job you can get when you have no skills is to be a waitress." So she gets this job
Yeah.
as a waitress, goes into this establishment, and they say, welcome, and just make sure all the customers are happy. And so one of the customers is like an 85-year-old guy. And he's saying, "Look, sweetie, I could set you up in an apartment to basically be my mistress." And she tells the manager, says, "Keep the customers happy." So she gets so angry, she leaves immediately. Like, I don't want to be a part of this organization. So she's got, a black pants, white shirt. She's angry, and some jerk in a Jag almost runs her over. And the reason
Mm.
he's distracted is he's talking on the phone with his manager for his restaurant who can't hire another waitress. And he goes, "Why is this so difficult? Here's one right here." And he says, "Are you a waitress?" And she goes, "Yes, I am." And her only
Hmm.
waitressing was that one customer. And she gets a job and she tells the manager at the place what happened. He says, "None of that here. But this jerk that hired her is such a demanding, the devil wears Prada kind of person that he
Yes.
snaps her out of her ability to, like, his demands are, get me 2 tickets to the hottest restaurant in town that just opened yesterday. And she's like, well, we can't do that. The waiting list is da da da. She says, after like 2 months with him, I could get an invitation anywhere, anytime. And it just snapped her out of that spell of being just another lemming to be Molly. And then, of course, play her own game is what we're hoping everyone does.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'll just share something personal with you. I think that I mean, I was lucky enough to kind of have that moment in my life. I don't think somebody, maybe I would say a system, provoked it. I would say corporate America for me was what, like,
Mm,
I just was on this path. Like, I always say to people, on the outside, had all the things, right? Like, successful, bought the house, the salary, like climbing up the corporate ladder. But like inside, I felt hollow. Like,
wow.
I did not feel whole. And it actually took for me, like I always say, like, the only way to get to somewhere like rock bottom. And I had to, like, I was pushing through. My body was telling me, like, maybe, like, I was getting having anxiety. I wasn't sleeping well, and I was like, for this was for a long period of time. And then my body told me no. It like shut down. Like, I went through a really bad depressive episode. I checked myself into like an intensive outpatient program, and that's when I was like, I need to change my life. This I can't, I don't want to be morbid, but I was like, the thought of me going back into this environment, I would rather die. Like that to me,
Yeah.
it was like my soul. Like, I decided to revamp my life, and now I live a purposeful, very, very intentional life. And I always say it's a high you can't buy. Like, it's an amazing feeling.
Super. Thank you for sharing that. Danielle, I'd like you to do a little exercise for me and people watching
Sure.
this.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
want you to, just for a moment, I want you to take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, and just slowly let it out and just step into your body, whatever that means to you.
Mhm.
That brings a stillness.
Yes.
And if I asked you to stop eating, Danielle, and you obeyed me 100%, you could probably last 3 weeks before you expire. If I asked you to go without water, you could probably go 4 days without water. But if I asked you to stop breathing within a couple of minutes, you would start breathing again or expire, right? So
Correct.
that's the fundamental thing. That's the first thing we do when we're born. And that's the definition of being born is taking that first breath into this world. And
Mm,
so one of the things we get disconnected with is our body. And
yeah.
we're in our heads all the time. And all the messages that are really, really important are coming into our body. I'm not sure if you remember like elementary school and the teacher showed students litmus paper, where you get this little strip of paper, you dip it in a liquid, and if it turns a certain color, you know this liquid is acidic or it's alkaline, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And that litmus paper is this gift that we have this amazing body. And we
Yes.
get so disconnected from it that you had described it in your journey that, I started feeling this and I'm still going and my head was talking myself out of this. It's just, it's just excitement or whatever. We weren't paying attention to our body. If we were paying attention to our body and you would have got that sign way earlier going, danger, stop
Yes.
this
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
activity.
Like, yeah.
So let me tell you how incredibly smart I am. Is I was in Toronto, where I am right now, and I
Yeah.
got a gig to work for Hewlett Packard as a just a consulting gig, and I had my other clients, and I was just basically working a ton of hours. I was supporting my existing clients plus full time at HP, and I went to the doctor because I had gastritis, and he says,
Mm.
if you don't cut this out, you're going to get ulcers. And I took this one day off from work and I ate my favorite foods and watched my favorite movies. And somewhere along that day, I realized the only person putting stress on me was me. And I stopped doing it. And then I had the same work schedule and it just was fine. And about 30 some odd years later, I'm in Silicon Valley and
Hmm.
I never get sick and I go to bed and I wake up with an acid attack that's pretty severe, get rushed to the hospital, and they give me some atomic antacids and some really good drugs, which was amazing. But then I remembered 30 years ago I had an acid attack and I was putting stress on myself. What's not going well now? And it
Mm.
was like, you're not living the life you should be living. You should be helping other people break through their limitations. And because I was paying attention to my body and I had that same experience 30 years before, very quickly we sold up in Silicon Valley, moved to the East Coast, and I started
Yeah.
doing this work, helping people break through. So, dear listeners, at least twice a day, take
Listen.
that deep breath and
Hmm.
just step into your body. And you can do something crazy. Don't do it out loud because people actually think you're crazy. Is to just ask your body,
Don't do it out loud. Here's
is
somebody.
is everything okay?
Yeah.
And the body's going to answer in your mind and say yes, or well, right now I'm feeling uneasy about this new project you're doing. And then you can just ask that question. What are you feeling uneasy about? And it'll give you an answer. Even if this was just your head playing tricks, you get another perspective. And
Mm,
that perspective is what separates people that have, average lives and phenomenal lives. Because it's so
yeah.
hard to get that perspective. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm with you. I call them I've been very intentional lately about being in my body and listening to my body, that and I call them micro moments, like even if it's
Mm,
between calls. For me, breath work works really well. So when you said take a deep breath, for that was like I just between calls, I'll just take 2 minutes and just take a bunch of deep breaths, or I'll go outside. That's the best thing for
mm.
me, grounding, going outside and taking just breathing in some fresh air and just and it's just amazing how it keeps you more regulated, keeps you more clear, keeps you more present in your life, because that's what I think too. And I would love to actually talk to you about this, and it just came to my mind that we live in such an overstimulated world, like
Yes.
notifications, text messages, emails, meetings. What are your tips and tricks for people to kind of stay in the present moment? Because I feel this is just my personal opinion, which I'm sure you might agree with. I don't want to miss my life because I'm chasing after that next, answering that next text or email, or I feel like we need to be more. I don't want to maybe I know mindfulness is a huge movement, but be more present in our lives. Because if we don't, we're gonna miss it.
Yeah. What you're asking is actually a Herculean task,
Mm,
which is so all that you described is, problematic. And what's worse is social media and those shorts. And it's so
yeah,
easy to swipe, 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 and,
yeah,
and watch that stuff.
yeah.
And so I think what you really need to do is one, get your phone and leave it charging downstairs and not in your bedroom would be
Mm,
the first
hmm.
thing.
I think Ariana Huffington, actually, I think she invented something, or I don't know if she made a business out of it, but I think she made like a bed for her phone, like a little mini bed, and
Oh,
she put it
hilarious.
like yeah, like not in her bedroom, like outside of her bedroom. So, but yeah, that's a great, yeah, like literally put the thing away from the most accessible place you can get it.
Then the other thing I think is to just on Friday afternoons, pretend you've got whooping cough at work so you can take time off. But if you're self-employed, just uh, do this. Take Friday afternoons off, and you can do a couple of things. Number one, you can just put down your phone and just switch it off into like do not disturb mode. But
Yes,
go
yeah.
for a walk in nature is one of the things that
Mm,
you can do, and just be in nature and just notice what's happening. And Danielle, are you in the States?
I am. I'm in New Jersey. So, and
So they,
actually, yeah, I live at the beach right now. It's a little cold, but I love to walk in. Even I mean, I can walk in nature wherever, but I'm very lucky. I live at the beach, so especially in the warmer weather, it's amazing. It's like so
beautiful.
grounding and healing, and yeah, it being by the water is wonderful.
So do that. And the other thing you can do on Friday afternoons is they had this place called Ollie's, which is a store in on the East Coast that they basically is like a warehouse, and they have all these end of lot things. So when you go there, they have unexpected items there,
Hmm.
and just walking that store
Oh, interesting.
is amazing. Or go to a fabric store and just see different fabrics. So go to an art gallery
Mm.
to
Oh, that's
feed your
yeah, like
mind.
the sensory, like yeah, like
Yeah,
that
because
sensory
sometimes you could
experience.
be looking at this weird gadget that will never work in a million years, but next week when you're doing this work project and it's like, wait a minute, we could do this, and you get inspired by something you saw on that journey. So you
Hmm.
purposely go in these environments with fabric or oddities or museums or whatever you decide to do, and it feeds the soul. So you can go in nature, or you can
Yeah.
go out in public. And here's one thing that I'd love for your listeners to do, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about kind of my work in a minute. But
Yeah,
this one I
yeah,
think
yeah.
is
Go for it. Yeah,
so
no, I love
important.
this conversation. This is great.
So right now there are magical moments in your life happening all the time. And these
Hmm.
magical moments are, so I'll give you a good example. I go into a store, it's a grocery store, and the manager there, this guy there, I said, I need some sun-dried tomatoes. Where do I find those? He goes, I'm not sure, but uh, there's this woman stocking shelves. She'll know. And he takes me over to this woman, Jane, and says, Jane, can you help this gentleman find sun-dried tomatoes? And
Hmm.
she goes, okay. And as she's walking, uh, I'm walking with her to whichever aisle. And on the music, there is this song playing, Shiny Happy People.
Hmm.
And her and I both start singing it together, like not rehearsed. I don't know her. We're walking in a store
Oh,
looking for
yeah.
tomatoes. And that was a magical moment that I cherished. And I bet you, if you go about your day, you'll find these magical moments that are such
Mm.
blessings that we're too busy in our phone, in our life, thinking these thoughts. Sometimes
Yeah.
just being allows you to just go, huh, what a wondrous world we live
Yes. I love that. And like also to the connection, like just the synchronicity of like the natural connection. Because I and that's another thing. I think we're talking a lot about like, being in your body, being grounding, but like I know and also too, I'm maybe being a hypocrite right now because we are on a on a Zoom call, but having like face-to-face human connection is also such a gift.
in. Absolutely. And there's a paradox of Zoom as well. Like if you're in front of me, we're doing a session and we'll talk about those. Certainly I'm attending to you
Yeah.
when you're there. But something interesting happens when it's happening on Zoom, which is in some ways I'm more present in Zoom with
Mm,
someone
mm.
because then my whole focus is there, and because it's detached a little bit, I have an extra incentive to be fully diligent on what's going on because there is that missing element. It's like one of those people that starts losing their eyesight, and all of a sudden the hearing perks up and becomes superhuman. Like
Mm.
so, technology allows us to do that. And so I'm reading this book. It's about this. It's a fictional character, and something goes very wrong, and he's telling his teammates, that is excellent. That's such a huge opportunity that now we can focus on this, and everything that goes wrong, he is seeking for what's the blessing from this setback, as opposed to
Mm.
everyone else would be like, oh my God, this thing happened. What
Mm.
will we do? It's all
Yeah.
over. We're all going to die. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, there's an extra incentive. So, Danielle, let me tell you what my mission is really
Yes,
in this world
absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to hear.
is way too many people are living smaller lives, not
Mm.
because of their parents, not because of the
Yep.
economy, not because of where they were born, but because the prison they've put themselves in, and that prison is our mind.
Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with you.
So, how do we get people unstuck? So, I had this, well, give you a good example. I had this person come in, and he came in because his boss suggested he come see me. And he went to do his bar exam and failed. And
Mm.
he was like, so I said, okay, you failed your bar exam. Tell me what was going on. He said, so, we came to this section of the law. And as soon as I flipped over there, I just froze up. I
Mm.
said, froze up. Okay. In your mind's eye, go back to that moment in time before you got to that section of the law.
Mm.
See what you saw. I'm in a room full of people. Hear what you heard, just silence of the room, a little like typing going on keyboards. I said, excellent. When you now go to that section of the law, seeing what you saw, hearing what you heard, and
Mm-hmm.
then what were you feeling in your body? And they go, oh, I was feeling this uncomfortable feeling in my chest. Oh, so that feeling kind of shut you down. Go, yeah, that feeling shut me down. So the answer came not so much from the mind. The mind helped us get there, but the answer's in the body. And using some hypnosis, like, okay, this is a unique feeling. You've
Mm-hmm.
felt this feeling before. Had I not gone to the unconscious mind, have you felt this before? It's like, maybe, but you've felt this before. Look into my eyes. And when was the first time you felt this? And this guy goes back to when he was about 5 or 6 years old. He was going to the movie with his uncle and aunt and his cousins. Most favorite thing in the world to do. They get out of the car and they're in their hats, coats, gloves, because it's like snowy Baltimore day. And they come to a traffic light, and right across the street is the movie theater, and the marquee's flashing movies, movies, movies. And Don is so excited, he starts dancing, going to the movies, because he can't wait to go. And he doesn't
Uh-huh.
notice a patch of ice by his feet, and he slips on the ice and he falls into the street just as a
Mm.
car's coming. And the car knocks him down, but he's so small, he goes in between the wheels and doesn't get injured. And his uncle, gets him out of the car, brushes him off. He's okay. They go to the movies, have a great time. This is all but forgotten except for one thing. When he was underneath the car, he had a thought. If you're not prepared, you could die.
Mm.
And it brought that negative feeling just throughout his entire body. And so when we have a massive feeling, when a particular event happens, whether it's positive or negative, humans are meaning making machines, and he made meaning out of
Yes.
that. You have to be prepared or you could die. And so in his bar exam, he was working full time and going to law school. And there was one area of law that he had to get a set of DVDs. He couldn't attend those classes in person. Guess
Mm-hmm.
which area of the law, the one where he froze up in? Because in his unconscious mind, you didn't go to a class. So you're not prepared. It triggered the feeling and shut him down. So he failed. So
Mm.
we figure out what it is using a tool from applied neuroscience and a bit of hypnosis. When we change it, and then I get a voicemail like a month or so later saying, "Hey Umar, I just want to let you know that I aced my bar exam and I'm going to be a lawyer." And so that is the wow in my work. But the reason I share that with the listeners is this: is that we're trained that when you have anxiety or you have a phobia or you have depression, and I'm go back to anxiety because it's like a pandemic of anxiety that is going to take a long, long time for you to get over it. And that is true if you use traditional methodologies. But if you could realize that underneath every behavior, deep down is a belief in our unconscious that controls it. If we try and adjust the behavior through pharmaceuticals or therapy, it will
Mm-hmm.
change, but it takes a long time. But if you can go down much deeper, that's where magic happens.
Yes, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid that you're serving. I totally, I totally wholeheartedly agree that, and also too, I would love your thoughts on this as like, you work with a lot with mindset. It's like our brains are, wired. I mean, I will say I read a lot about the brain. I'm not like a neuroscientist by any means or but I just know the basics that like we're wired to go to the negative first. Our default
Mm.
setting is like a pattern. It might be an unhealthy pattern or a dysfunctional pattern, but it goes to what's familiar. So that's why I feel the work that you do with mindset is so important because you can't like, I mean, science has shown neuroplasticity is real, and if you can retrain your brain to think certain ways and to give yourself a different experience.
So here's two thoughts on that. Number one, we do have those patterns, and
Yes.
sometimes we realize that pattern is not helpful, and the pattern is here, and we hold on to it like a death grip because this is how we define ourselves too. I am the victim. or I am this, not at a conscious level, but at some level, we identify, we hold on to it with a death grip. And when we
Mm,
go into therapy and we say, okay, let go of that pen. If you and I were like wrestling over this pen, you might win, but sister, it's going to take you 20 minutes of wrestling on the floor to pry this out of my hands. So we hold on to even the most negative things.
mm,
So that's data point one. Data point two is this, is that we've all heard stories and we might actually know people like this. They get really sick or they get into a car accident where they almost die. And then something inside them changes and they kind of go, why am I freaking out over what my daughter's doing? It's meaningless. I should just love her and be with her and just be open hearted. So, had they gone into therapy, like
mm.
Mr. Daniels, you should really be open to things. It's like, no, 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 I've got my death grip on my reality. Get away from me, therapist. But you have one of those near death experiences, and then we just drop the old way of being. So if that can happen, but it takes extraordinary circumstances, and we all have stories of people making these life-changing, life-affirming decisions through those, traumatic events. That if that can happen, we know that our brain, our mind, our heart, and our body is capable of changing in a moment. So if
Yeah.
that's possible, that's my life's mission: is how do we get people to that change point,
Mm,
not in 6 months, not in 6 years, but during the next session or two. Let's just go down there and redefine. So if you had someone that was totally 100% believed that, you know, uh, the world is out to get me,
mm.
and if that is your belief, and I'm looking at, the only reason Danielle's doing this podcast with me is she wants to show me up and catch me in something, and then I'd be like, guarding my thoughts and going, what do I tell her? What do I don't tell her? Then, of course, I look like an idiot. And then people watching this kind of go, what an idiot. And then it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. And
Yeah.
so, what if we had this belief that the world is a magical place and the person I need to trust most in the world, not in a negative way, is me? And if I trusted myself in this amazingly powerful way, and I'm in the presence of Danielle, and my mind goes, she's a pretty amazing woman.
Oh.
And my body goes, she makes me feel good and I feel safe. That we'd be able to go, let's move forward. But let's say you were like a schemer, Danielle. You were like this evil person that put on this facade, and my mind would be totally fooled. But if I trusted my body would go, I feel a little uneasy here. And my mind
Mm.
traditionally goes, don't be stupid. She's amazing. But if we start probing, so yeah, the first hurdle we need to do, and you use the word purpose, is the
Yes.
first person I want you to fall in love with is you.
Yourself. Yep.
And understand yourself in a way of, these are my values, these are the criteria my
Yeah.
mind
Oh,
uses, here's
yeah.
where I'm strong, here are my fears and weaknesses. I'm working on those. We're going to make
Yeah.
those better. And then just trusting in this amazing gift. And when we do that, something magical happens and life becomes easier.
Yeah. Oh, you hit like everything. Like I said, I'm just sitting here drinking the Kool-Aid that you're serving because I just want to say, Umar, it's so I'm so grateful to just be in your presence right now because and thank you for the work that you do with the people that, I'm sure your clients because I tell everybody like we were put on this. We all have gifts. We all have what and like we all do. And it's just your like and you are I think there's the quote and I forgive me who I don't know, blame the internet, right? Because everything's true on the internet, but it's something like um your purpose in life is to like find or it's oh gosh, now I'm gonna forget it. It's something about how like you have to find
While
your
we're here,
yeah, like
so
you
it's a
have to
Mark Twain
yeah, like
quote.
you have to find
Too
your
much.
gift in this world.
Yeah.
But your purpose is to give it away. Like that's your purpose. So you and I love that you brought that up because that's one thing I will say like well, of course, because like I'm a human being, you're a human being, like we're gonna have stressful days unfortunately where like yes, our bodies might get sick and we might be a little down, but like on the days that are like maybe just harder physically or mentally for me, I ground in my purpose
Oh,
and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, and then that gives me the fuel to keep on going.
yeah, absolutely. So I think fundamentally what we need as human beings, these are the human rights according to Umar. We need to, one, learn how to be fully present in the
Yes.
moment. And you can start small. Just that simple exercise that we did at the beginning. Take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, and step into your body. When you do that, for that moment, you are fully present. The next moment, you may not be. You may be thinking about, why am I doing
Mhm.
this stupid thing? But you can build that muscle. Number two is really uncovering your values of what's
Yes. Oh,
important to me, because what's
yes.
important to me in work might be totally different than what's important to me in a romantic relationship, which could be totally different in a sexual relationship. And the
Mhm.
romantic and sexual could be the same relationship, but it just could be like, hey, I'm dating and I'm meeting people, and values could be different there. But we need to know our values in those areas. And then the next step, where a lot of people don't really do this part, is let's say one of my values in work is having fun.
Mm.
And how do I know that I'm having fun? Like, what's the criteria? That my clients are laughing, that I'm having a joyous experience. So every morning when we start our shift at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, is that another team member gets to pick a song that speaks to them, and we dance for five
Oh,
minutes like a
I love
bunch of
that. Oh, that's
maniacs.
so cool. I love that. I love that.
And so that's when. So what's your value for work, Umar? It's fun. It's like, oh,
Yeah, I
excellent.
love
And if
that. That's
and if we
great.
don't have that criteria, that
Yeah.
that you're laughing, that I'm laughing, that there's joy happening every day, then we don't actually do that. We just say fun. Then it's like those antiseptic things on the walls of HR departments. These are the
Mhm.
values of our
Yeah, yeah.
company,
Like, yeah,
but
just
nobody
like,
lives it.
yep, yep.
Okay,
Exactly. The core
so
values of the company. Yep, yep.
be present, know your values, then know your purpose. Once you know your purpose, it gives you a direction. And
Absolutely.
I happen to be, you may not have guessed this, but I happen to be a joyful educator that helps people become their best selves, is my purpose, why
Hmm.
I'm here. And
I
every
love
day I
that.
get to do that. And you do those things, and then at that point, you can pick a goal that aligns with your purpose. Instead of
Yes.
like, I
Yes.
want to have $1 million, it's like, I want to I want to have $1 million, pursuing this thing all of a sudden would be different than I just want $1 million. And it's like, oh, to do that, I'd have to help a ton more people. How do I do that? Oh, I need to blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, all the things that I do align with my purpose. And do those simple things, and then the world becomes easier. And when you
Yes.
meet someone who's a jerk, it's more like, not like that evil person, I hate them, da da da. It's like, huh, I wonder what's happening in their world that makes them so unhappy. And what could I do to make their world better? And it could be as simple as, Danielle, you look really, really upset, more upset than, the transgression I did. Like, what's going on there? Am I reading that right? Not saying you are da da da, just saying, am I reading that right? And then if you do it in the right way, people kind of go, yeah, it was a bad day today, and my car broke down, and I'm taking out on you. I'm really sorry, or whatever. And it's then you get to see people their their best selves as they are, and
Oh,
you get to make
yes.
their life better.
Yes. And I love that you brought up because, like, I always say to people, and this is the work that I do with my clients too, like, I am a values person. Your core values in your life, I try to, and I'll say, I'm only human, right? Like, I'm gonna make mistakes sometimes, but in every decision that I make in every area of my life, and I love that you did separate, like, your work value is fun. Like, I believe that too. Like, work should not be like I know it's called work, but like it's like
Hmm.
we should be a little lighter about it. And I love that you have that.
Yeah.
I love that you have that dancing, like that I think that's
Well, I
so
mean,
cool. Um, but I tie every decision I make back to my core values. And that's how I know if I'm with a person or in a situation or in a conversation and I feel like I'm straying away from that core value. I'm like, yeah, no, like maybe I'll just, like of course I won't be rude, but like, I'm like that's not for me then, like
Yeah.
that environment isn't for me and it's okay, we're all allowed to have different core values, but I tell people and I tell my clients this all the time, and I'm sure you're very similar. Like I can name you, like I mean I have like longer abridged sentences, but I can name you my core values. Like if somebody stopped me in the street and they're like, Danielle, what are your core values? I'm like, they're awareness, accountability, compassion and empathy, and accountability. Like those are my core values. And I
Oh,
try to, like, I mean, I have like sentences that I go by, but like though that's how I live my life. All right, sorry, excuse me. Authenticity, accountability, awareness, and compassion and empathy. Like those are that's the compass of which I walk through the world.
so one of the things you said was awareness.
Yes.
When you're not aware, do you know what you are? You're underwear.
I love that. Oh my God, I love that. That is so amazing. That's great, Umar. Like that's amazing. I love that. I absolutely love that. That is amazing. You just made me laugh so much. Oh my God, that's great. I love it.
Well, what a joy talking to you. Anything else I can share with you
No,
before we?
I know. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. We had a lot of laughs. You definitely have a very vibrant, vivacious personality, and I appreciate that. And I can see how you have a lot of fun at work. Work should be fun. And I would just for my listeners, like how can they find you, your website, where can they, email, please share if they
Absolutely.
want to work with you.
So one of the best places to find me is a website called mindsetboosters.com.
Great.
And my life's work is there. It's an app that you can use. So when you're feeling depressed, you can break out of the depression in minutes. If you're feeling
Mm.
anxiety about a test or a date, you can lose the anxiety in a few minutes. So if you go to mindsetboosters.com, you're going to find me there and connect there. And of course, just put me in Google and you'll find me. And that first story is a lie. No, only kidding. What a, what a joy chatting with you and such a
Yes.
great interview. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
And thank you so much for being here. And for all the listeners, as usual, you can find the Feeling and Healing podcast on YouTube as well as Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Super. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.